Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and I'm here tonight with the third out of 5 of my videos of my favorite amps, DACs, headphones, all that of the year 2024. And this is the first time that I've actually done this video. My first this year was the best amps of the year. The second was the best DACs of the year, and I did include a few amp DAC combinations in the amps video if they had a really good amp in them that was competitive in price with standalone amps in that group. And then I included a few amp DACs in the DAC video, and once again, and if they had a really good DAC that was competitive in its price range with standalone DACs, I included them. But this is going to be exclusively amp DACs combinations and amp DAC stacks, and these are all units that I've reviewed in the last few years. A couple of them are no longer available, but they've been updated. You know, like say I reviewed the version 2 and the version 3 is still available, even though the version 2 is discontinued. I'm assuming that, you know, if the version 2 was good, the version 3 is going to be just as good or maybe better. So I did include those, and the prices I'm giving you are for the current version. So and then my fourth video is going to be my favorite headphones of 2024, which is the video I normally do first at the end of the year, but this year I had a couple of headphones come in the last week of December, and I'm just now getting together my notes on that as far as where those two fell into the lineup. So that's the reason for the delay on the best headphones of the year video. And then my last will probably be headphone accessories, you know, things like headphone cables, interconnect cables, power supplies, tubes for tube amps, that sort of thing. And then I'll wrap it up and get back to my normal reviews. So anyway, this is my favorite amp DAC combos and amp DAC stacks of the year. And I'm only doing stacks that I actually reviewed the amp and DAC together as a stack. And I'm talking about matching amp DACs, you know, that were intended to be used together as a stack, that were, you know, built that way. So anyway, I'm going to start at under $100, and I'm going to give the win for my favorite amp DAC combo under $100 to the iFi Zen Air DAC, which sells for $99, a very decent DAC and amp both at a very low price. It's basically a single-ended version of the Zen DAC, or Zen DAC 2 or 3 is the current one, but the Zen DAC 3, which is quite a bit more expensive, is basically has a metal enclosure, and the Zen Air DAC is a plastic enclosure, and once again only single-ended, not balanced, to hold the price down. I'm going to give an honorable mention in the under $100 category to the iFi Audio Uno, which is a very tiny little amp DAC that has a really good sound at $79, and I highly recommend it to anyone that's using the headphone jack on anything from your laptop, your tablet, even your desktop computer. You will get a much better sound out of your headphones plugging a USB cable into the iFi Uno and using that instead of the headphone output of your computer or whatever your device is. Okay, jumping to the $101 to $250 category, I'm going to give the win to the FIO K7, a nice little amp DAC combination that sells for $199. Very clean, very detailed, both the amp and DAC. Has enough power. I think it's putting out about 2 watts per channel to power most headphones, including planar magnetics. It might struggle with some of the super hard to drive like the Sesfara or the HE6. It's not going to take those to their full potential, but it's going to be good for just about pretty much at least 95% of the headphones out there. And once again, FIO K7 at $199. I'm going to give an honorable mention to the iFi Audio Zen DAC. The current version, the version 3, sells for $229. The version I reviewed, I'm not sure if it was the 1 or 2, but I believe it was actually the 1. And from what I've heard, the 2 and 3 made improvements. Nice amp and DAC. Not enough power to power really hard to drive headphones, but does a good job with most of the easier planar magnetics. That sells for $229. Jumping to the $251 to $500 category, I'm giving the win to this time it's going to be a stack, not a combo, and it's the Topping E50L50 stack. And you can get that stack, both units, for $370. It has an outstanding DAC, the E50 that I gave all kinds of awards to in my DAC video, and a really decent amp, the L50, that actually does a respectable job of driving the Susvara or the HE6. Very clean, very detailed, and I actually spent quite a few hours using that combination with the Susvara at my desk and was not disappointed at all. Once again, Topping E50L50 stack, combined price of $370. I'd like to give an honorable mention to the Hi-Fi Man EF400 that sells for $399, a fantastic R2R DAC, a very good amp that puts out, I think, 4 watts per channel. The only issue I have with the EF400 is it only has one input, and that's a USB digital. It does not have coax or optical digital, and it has no analog input, so you're kind of limited to using it on your desk. I also like to give an honorable mention to another stack that comes in at $460 combined, and that's the iFi Audio Zen DAC 3 and the iFi Audio Zen Can 3. And like I said, the version I reviewed was an earlier version, but was very impressed with that, so I'm assuming the current version is as good or better. And once again, $460 combined for the 2 units. Jumping to $501 to $750, and this, I'm going to give this one to the Hi-Fi Man EF600 combination amp DAC. It sells for $649. It has a very good R2R DAC, the Hi-Fi Man Himalaya Pro, and a very good amp that puts out, I think, 4 or maybe 5 watts per channel into 32 ohms, will power any headphone without a problem, including the Susvara or HE6, and just a very decent, very good amp DAC combination. I think you can see it sitting here right next to me, and it has all the things that the EF400 lacked. It has the optical and coax digital inputs, and it also has analog inputs, both single-ended and balanced. So all the complaints I had about the EF400, the lack of features, have been made up for in the EF600. Once again, $649. I'd like to give an honorable mention to the iFi Audio Zen 1 Signature, and this is a stack, once again, the Zen 1 Signature and the Zen Can Signature. The one I reviewed was the Hi-Fi Man version. You can pick up both units combined at $650, and has enough power to power just about any headphone. Very clean, very detailed. Lots of features, lots of inputs. Really like that. Once again, $650. And then also an honorable mention to the Burson Playmate 3, which is a combination amp DAC that sells for $599. A very solid, very detailed, very good DAC combined with a very respectable amp, and all in one unit. Really easy to use, really like it. I reviewed that a couple of years ago, but as far as I know, it's still available at $599. Jumping up to $751 to $1,000, and this was a very tough class. This was a hard decision to make because I have 3 units in this class, and they were very close, and it was really hard to pick a winner. And it came down to either the iFi Audio Neo IDSD2 or the Hi-Fi Man Serenade for the win. And the deciding factor, I gave the iFi the win because it's $100 cheaper. So the iFi Audio Neo IDSD2, an incredibly clean, detailed DAC with an amp that puts out 5.5 watts per channel into 32 ohms. It does a very good job of driving the Susvara. Very clean, detailed, perfect for the Susvara. Sells for $899. But I also really love the Hi-Fi Man Serenade. A little larger, heavier, really well built. Was manufactured for Hi-Fi Man by Golden Wave. Not as many features as the iFi Audio, but just a really nice, warm, rich sound. That sells for $999. And once again, I gave that an honorable mention, but it was really close and a really tough decision between that and the iFi Neo for the win. And then also another unit that's very close behind, the FIO K9 Pro ESS or EES version that sells for $899. A fantastic DAC that I just absolutely loved with a really decent headphone amp. The only reason this one fell down to 3rd place in this category, it was going up against really tough competition. And the amp, I think, only puts out about 2 watts per channel, which makes it perfect for 95% of the headphones out there. But I didn't have the Susvara at the time to actually try it, but I'm assuming it would come up a little short on power for the Susvara or the HE6. Jumping up to $1,001 to $1,500, I'm going to give this win to a stack, and that's the Topping A70 Pro and the Topping D70 Pro Saber version. And you can pick up that stack, both units, for $1,210 US, and just outstanding clarity and detail. As far as measurements, I don't think there's hardly anything out there that can beat either of these units. They measure perfect from or as close to perfect as possible. From what I understand, I do not personally have the equipment to measure them, so I have to go by other people's, reviews or opinions that have measured them. But I guess they're like all topping equipment, they measure outstandingly well. And huge amount of power. I think it's rated at something like 12 watts per channel into 16 ohms, and plenty of power for the Susvara. Never came up short, and just it has the really cool screens on the front that can either be switched to VU meters, and I think I called them UV meters in my last video. Sorry for that. Or it can show all your inputs, outputs, volume, all that. Or you can switch the screens to show these really cool spectrum analyzers with, I think, 30 different frequency bands, and you can watch the output jump up and down on all those. Really cool to watch while you're listening to your headphones. So anyway, given that the win, once again, the Topping A70 Pro, D70 Pro Saber stack. Jumping up to $1,501 to $2,000, I'm giving this win to the Burson Conductor 3 reference. Unfortunately, I don't think it's any longer in production, and I'm not sure what took its place, but I'm sure Burson has something of equal or better quality at a similar price. So you can see it right here next to me. It's an outstanding amp DAC, very clean, very detailed DAC, an amp with something like 8 watts per channel that powers the Susvara or the HE6 with no effort at all. Just an excellent amp DAC, and that sold for $17.50 a couple of years ago. But like I said, I'm not sure what Burson is currently putting out in that price category or similar to that, but I'm sure you can all find out pretty easily. Excuse me just a second. It's been really cold here this week, actually for about 3 weeks now. In fact, it's about 11 o'clock at night, and I think the current temperature is about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I heat with wood, and it tends to dry out the house, so please excuse me if I need to take another drink during this video. Okay, jumping to over $2,000. Over $2,000, I'm going to give the win to the iFi Audio Pro IDSD Signature. This is a combination amp DAC that sells for $3,250. I reviewed it a little over a year ago, and it has the best DAC I have ever heard, in my opinion, and I've reviewed some pretty good DACs. And it just has an outstandingly clear, detailed DAC with a huge sound stage, fantastic depth for a Delta Sigma DAC, a lot of depth, very good layering. Absolutely love the DAC in that, with a very decent headphone amp. The amp doesn't put out a huge amount of power. It will actually do a respectable job with the Susvara. I did listen to the Susvara from the headphone jack of this unit, and it does a pretty decent job, but it won't take the Susvara all the way. But if you take that DAC and hook it up as a standalone DAC into a dedicated headphone amp, and the one I used was the Hi-Fi Man Prelude, and that combination was the best I've heard up to this day with the Susvara. The iFi Pro IDSD Signature as a standalone DAC into the Hi-Fi Man Prelude, which sells for about $2,500. It's sitting over here. I don't know if it's in your view or not. And that combination made the Susvara sound better than any other combination I've heard so far. So excellent DAC. Really good headphone amp, is up to like the Hi-Fi Man HE1000 SE. Plugged into that DAC amp combo, once again the iFi Audio Pro IDSD Signature, just had a perfect synergy, and that DAC amp with the Hi-Fi Man HE1000 SE was one of the best sounding combinations I've heard. And, you know, I'm talking about everything I've heard in the last 6 years since I started doing reviews. Okay, I want to give an honorable mention to a stack, and this is the Audio GD Master 9 and the Audio GD R8 MK2, which is a R2R DAC, and the stack is sitting right here. I think you can see them both. The DAC on the bottom, the amp on the top. These things are huge. They're each 17 by 17 inches square. The combination is about probably 7 inches tall, and the two combined weigh close to 60 pounds. So they're huge, huge amounts of power. Love the way they sound. Actually, probably the best, actually without a doubt, the best amp DAC stack that I've heard up to this date. But the Master 9, I don't think it's still in production, but I think there's similar versions that are. The R8, the version I have is the MK2. I think the current version is the MK3. And the combination, the stack, is going to cost you somewhere close to $4,000. So not cheap, but will handle any headphone you can throw at it, anything from IEMs to the Susvara. Okay, that concludes my price categories. I want to give some awards now. and I'm going to start with most bang for the buck awards. The amp DAC combo or amp DAC stack that I think gives you the most performance under a certain price point. And I'm going to start with under $250, and I'm going to give most bang for the buck to the FIO K7 at $199, and that is an amp DAC combo. Jumping up to the 251 to 500 category, I'm going to give that to a stack, and that's the topping E50L50 stack at $370 combined. 501 to $1,000, I'm going to give that category to the most bang for the buck to the Hi-Fi Man EF600 amp DAC combo, which you can see right here. That sells for $649 currently. And $1,000 plus, I'm going to give it to a stack, and that's the topping A70 Pro D70 Pro Sabre version, which the stack you can get both units together for $1,210 US. Okay, now for the amp DAC combo of the year, and I'm going to divide this amp of the year or amp DAC of the year into two categories. The first one's going to be an amp DAC combo, and the second one's going to be an amp DAC stack. So the amp DAC combo of the year, I'm going to give that to the iFi Audio Neo IDSD2 that sells for $899. I love everything about it. The only complaint I do have is it does not have a 4-pin XLR headphone jack on it, but it does have a 4.4 millimeter Pentacon balanced output, which I just don't have as many cables to choose from, with that output. And then amp DAC stack of the year, I'm going to give that to the topping A70 Pro and D70 Pro Sabre version DAC, and that once again sells for $1,210. And then that's it. That's where I'm at for this year. That is the topping A70 Pro D70 Pro Sabre is an amp DAC stack that will do pretty much everything. Outstanding clarity and detail. Does lean slightly towards the dry sterile side, but not like some of the previous topping equipment. It's more what I would consider neutral, but not warm. The iFi Audio Neo is a little warmer, and the Hi-Fi Man Serenade is warmer yet. But if you're looking for neutral, just pretty much dead neutral and outstanding clarity and detail, outstanding power, the topping A70 Pro, D70 Pro. So I'm going to wrap this video up. Like I said, I have 2 more videos in this series of best of the year of 2024. One's going to be headphones, the other's going to be headphone accessories, cables, tubes, things like that. So that wraps up this video. Once again, this is William. If this video helped you, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. And you're all welcome at the Headphone Experience on Facebook that is up to 35.6 thousand members. I hope you join us over there. And once again, thanks for watching my video.